The question presented to us today is probably one that a lot of you men, especially out there, may have. I haven't been feeling quite right lately. I feel crappy in general. I don't feel like I did when I was young. Do I have low testosterone? Really, what are the levels that constitute having low testosterone? Do I need help? What can I do? Should I try testosterone replacement therapy? This was the question presented to us, and it's a fantastic one that I'm happy to do a day on, multiple days actually, because there's a lot that we're going to cover here. We can't just cover testosterone in one day. What I want to talk about today is a little bit about testosterone replacement. We'll talk about what testosterone actually is in terms of how they measure it in the body, different forms. And we'll talk about what we can do in terms of lifestyle without getting too deep into supplements and diet and other modifications, that foods that are good for helping testosterone levels tomorrow. We're gonna get into a lot of that. So without further ado, what are some symptoms? First off, if someone has lower testosterone, well, they kind of feel crappy in general, right? They feel lethargic. They don't have the same libido that they used to have. Maybe they're losing some muscle mass. They're putting on fat. Maybe they feel depressed, right? And maybe they're losing some facial hair, some body hair. They don't have that same vigor that they used to have. And so they look to something like testosterone replacement therapy right away. People typically do that. They look up online, how can I just get some testosterone pop shot into me? Like we all look for, quick fixes to things, which typically are not good. But what is the deal with testosterone replacement? Without me ripping it apart, right, I'll tell you some facts, okay? People that get TRT will, typically are older. It's more the geriatric population, at least people above, their 40s or so, in their 50s. And it will improve symptoms of cognition, improve libido. It'll improve your mood, even bone mineral density, red blood cell production, having more lean muscle mass and burning more fat, right, can help to reduce weight and can have a lot of beneficial effects on somebody, as it is just boosting testosterone levels, right? Now, what are low levels in the first place when we talk about testosterone? Well, and what are the harmful effects of TRT? Well, when you talk about the harmful effects, really it's not true that TRT is going to cause prostate cancer. They said that raising testosterone levels raises your risk for prostate cancer, but the reality of that actually is if you have prostate cancer, they're going to want to lower testosterone levels. If they lower the testosterone levels, it will help the cancer to regress, right? And so that's what a lot of the medications that they have out there for prostate cancer will do. They will help to lower testosterone levels. Man, what a double whammy. That is not a good thing, right? And so when we talk about testosterone and levels, what really is it? So total testosterone is the total amount of testosterone that's running through your veins, that's in your blood. And this can be either bound testosterone, which is tightly bound to something called sex hormone binding globulin, and our body can't really access this testosterone. It's almost wasted testosterone and insignificant when you're measuring this testosterone in the blood in terms of what is bioavailable to us, something that will be absorbed and have an effect in improving those aforementioned things that we want to improve, right? And this makes up a whopping 2/3 of the testosterone in our body. So the other remaining third, more or less, is loosely bound testosterone, and that's bound to something called albumin. And our body can use this, but it does take some effort. So it's not extremely efficient and won't quite use all of it really well, but it can use loosely bound testosterone. And it can best use what's called free testosterone. Free testosterone is neither tightly bound nor loosely bound. It's free, just as it sounds. But it only makes up about 1 to 4% of the total testosterone in our bodies. So when somebody is feeling crappy, like we're saying, right, and they go into their doctor, they're typically going to measure a few things in terms of hormone levels and just in general, right? They'll measure your TSH, your T3, your T4. Those are thyroid hormone things. They'll measure vitamin D, and they'll measure testosterone, especially if you are a male, right? And so when it comes to normal levels, what's really important here is there's no standard normal level. Now, if you have below 300 nanograms per deciliter and you have symptoms, then go get checked out go get your testosterone levels checked, and that may very well be the culprit, right? But it's about what somebody's levels are relative to what they used to be, right? Because we're all different, and even labs differ in what they say are normal testosterone levels. Some labs say anywhere from like 160 to 726 nanograms per deciliter is normal in men. Others say 300 to 1130 nanograms per deciliter is normal. And so, it depends if you're looking to have really high levels of testosterone in TRT, you're looking to just feel normal again. But if you don't have any symptoms, and you have lower testosterone, well, that may not be the cause if you're somebody that had lower testosterone earlier in life to begin with. Whereas if you were that gladiator type guy and then, now you're feeling off, yeah, it could very well be the issue, right? So what you want to do is you want to get your testosterone levels checked when you're healthy, when you're relatively young, and then you want to have that baseline and say, okay, I know the amount it's supposed to drop, where it peaks at 18 years old and typically drops anywhere from 1% to 2% a year when we hit our 30s, right? And people over, if we're talking about age, people 65 years and older, well more than half of them have low testosterone levels, all right? Which, if we were gonna say, was by some standard number, it would be having symptoms, again, an important thing, under 300 nanograms per deciliter. Okay, so, maybe a good thing to get them checked now. So what can we do to increase testosterone levels naturally if we don't want to do TRT? Because, I said before, TRT doesn't seem to cause prostate cancer, and it does all these great things, big but, if you stop, your body's not going to produce testosterone naturally as it was before, right? And as it should be at that age. And that's obviously a problem. Now, it's different if somebody's in their 70s, in their 80s, and, you're fine with taking that every day for the rest of your life. We'll go ahead. But it's definitely something that we should avoid if we're a young gun, right? Anybody who's especially in their 30s or younger than that, even early 40s, right? So again, before we get into exact things to do for testosterone, 40% of people that are over 45 have low testosterone levels, but only 10% of them have symptoms. So again, that shows it's not. I'm really trying to drive this home. Unless you have those types of symptoms, and even if you do, it could be due to 100 different things. But if you have low levels relative to what you had, then yeah, go for improving your testosterone levels. Naturally, when it comes to testosterone, I want you to think of this. I want you to think of a warrior with balance. A balanced warrior. Shane, what the hell does that mean? Just think that. And we're going to explain why. A warrior with balance. What does a warrior do? A warrior exercises. They lift heavy things. They sprint. They chase something. They hunt. They do powerful, compound, athletic movements. They eat high protein, high fat meat. They eat a wide range of things. They're sexually active all the time. They have balance. They're never stressed out. They're never afraid of anything. They're not stressed out. They look at a challenge, there's no fear. They're just going to conquer it. They're going to destroy whoever's across from them, whatever they're dealing with. A warrior. Apply that however you want in modern day society. But, all of those things are good for boosting testosterone, right? And conversely, you want to get ample amounts of sleep. You don't want to be stressed. You want to make sure you're not eating too little. You want to make sure you're not working out too much. You need to have balance. Balance. You can't just be that warrior that drives themselves into the ground. Because if you do that, that can lower testosterone levels as well. When you overwork yourself with exercise, you release a ton of cortisol. And that will reduce testosterone levels, right? When you don't eat enough calories, that will lower testosterone levels. But when you have too much body fat, weight gain, poor metabolic health. That will lower testosterone levels. And when somebody gains weight and has poor metabolic health and they have a poor diet, and then what happens is, well, by the way, what's one big thing that could cause that? We talked about eating more healthy fats and protein. Sugar, eating a lot of sugar would be no bueno, right, for muscle growth, and will stimulate the endogenous production of fat in your liver, and visceral fat, and your body will become fat, and subcutaneous fat, it's just, not going to be good, and your testosterone levels are going to drop, and your libido and everything and all, it's no bueno, right? So, this isn't to say that plant-based foods could be good as well, and they definitely are. And I'm going to talk about all the exact foods tomorrow, but I want you to understand the concept. Don't eat too much, don't eat too little. If you have excess body fat and you have a poor diet, now you get stressed out. You're more likely to stress eat. You're stressed, you're not sleeping as well. Then when you stress eat, you gain more weight, your testosterone drops even lower. Then you feel worse, you feel depressed, your mood is down, you're anxious, you feel shitty, you eat more, you're not sleeping, you're not working out because you're depressed. It's a vicious cycle. So one of the best things you can do is drop some fat, right? So if, typically the issue for people is that they're not exercising enough. For some of us, it is that we're overworking. Maybe you're too crazy and you're not resting enough. You're not feeding your body well enough. I talk about intermittent fasting in terms of optimizing hormone levels often, but guess what? I would never fast for extended periods and then not properly replenish myself. That would be counterintuitive, counterproductive. It doesn't make any sense. So you have to respect your body. That's just common sense. And if you want your testosterone levels to be optimal, just use common sense, balance, and be a warrior. So what are some other things that could reduce testosterone? Well, one would be having too much alcohol. That's, again, too much alcohol. Low amounts, really negligible effect on testosterone. So I wouldn't really worry about that, and especially if you're going to be stressed out by not having that one glass of wine that you enjoy having a few nights per week, right? Whatever it is. Another one is BPA, bisphenol A. Now, this you used to find in water bottles. You find in some kitchen products, in canned foods. So maybe you want some glass or ceramic, metal water bottle. Maybe limit the canned foods and you don't want to touch too many receipts. That has a lot of BPA on it, apparently, but it's only if you touch a bunch of them. Don't be afraid at the grocery store to tap a receipt, But for people that deal with them all day, maybe it could come into play, right? Again, this idea of, not abusively doing anything, right? Way too much of anything is just not good. That's another example right there, aside from all the lifestyle modifications that we're talking about in terms of testosterone. It's something like that. If you had, a water bottle here and there and once in a long while, it probably wouldn't have no effect. And when we think about affecting testosterone, don't pop into your head BPA, too much alcohol. The alcohol could pop into your head because that's just not good for you. Anyway, you shouldn't have too much alcohol regardless. So maybe let that one pop in. But think of the warrior that has balance, and make sure you're getting ample amounts of sleep. Make sure you're eating enough food. Make sure it's from nature. Make sure it's rich in protein and healthy fats. Right? The own in testosterone is from word origin ketone. Right? Ketones are a byproduct of fat breakdown. And the other portions are sterol and steroid hormone and testicular, if you were curious about root origins of testosterone. So that is what we got for you guys. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you don't have low testosterone. I hope that answered your question. Well, you know who you are, at least in part. We're going to do a part 2 tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about different types of foods. I'm going to talk about some supplements, and we'll go from there. But before we even get into that, know that there really is no core supplement that exists for boosting testosterone. And by a core supplement, I mean something that has been proven time and time again to do so reliably with minimal side effects, right? So it's really, really difficult to find that, whereas when you talk about categories like improving memory and focus, blueberries would be a core supplement. When you talk about improving exercise performance, creatine, nitrates, protein, and carbs would be core supplements. And when you talk about fat burning, yohimbe bark, something like EGCG, caffeine, 5-HTP, these are all higher up there, right? But with testosterone, they're few and far between, and they're aren't too many studies showing drastic improvements. So before you even consider any sort of supplementation, make these lifestyle modifications. It just might do the trick and solve your problem, right? So get out there, be a warrior, work out a lot, have sex a lot, just do things that are going to make you strong and, mentally and physically, right? And be healthy. So hope you guys had a great day today. Happy birthday, Mike Napolitano. Happy birthday, man. This one is absolutely for you. This will always be for you. Happy October 7th. And, have an amazing year this year, man. You're an awesome dude. I remember playing beer pong with you in Tang's basement. I don't know how his parents didn't wake up. We would be yelling like crazy at night. It would be like a weekday. We'd go buy a 30 rack underage from the gas station down the street, Metro Mart, really sketchy place. And it would be awesome. And we were so pumped. They definitely overcharged us. We had the greatest time. And I think of us playing football in the flag football league, whooping some ass. You be QB, I'll be receiver. You just bomb it. I would just run out there. Oh my God, so much fun, man. And I had a great time at your wedding too. Danced a lot, naturally. Had a great time. So I love you, man. Have an absolute beta-ecty steroids, testosterone. Yeah, I did a day actually on beta-ecty steroids. I did, and those were relatively promising. It was preliminary evidence. They're not, they can't be something that's considered top of the table yet. But we did a full day on that. I could send you all the notes I have on that if you want. That was over a year ago. Yeah, so I don't remember too much about it. This is all, but I wrote a lot down. Thank you. Appreciate that, Charlie. All right. But what's your name on here? Because I'll send it to you. BPB Fit. All right. Send me a message right now and I'll reply with that. How about that? I take notes on every day. That's how we remember what we're talking about. Ali V, what's up? Henrique. OJB Guy. You too, my friend. Thank you. Charlie. Isaac, what's up? Mano Salva. Not by coincidence. Julianne Fredrickson. One Idaho. Symphony Samuel. Sebastian. Mo. Brandon Malone. I'm Nova. Preston. Carol. Cavono. Tim Zimmerman. 07. 12. Kiki. What's up, Kiki? Sean D. Hamilton. Happy Saturday, Randy. Veggies and Boy. Cheers, Big Ears, NYC. All right. Like that. What's up, Nick Ayers? D. Sharon. Thanks for hopping on, my friend. Randy Ryan. Joe Vick. Dak Dalal. Charlie Benaldez. I love you. You're the best. Aaron Bedros. And the first one of the day today, Sean Keith. How are you, my friend? Happy today. Happy when wellness. We appreciate you. Go do something great for yourself. What do you say? Maybe optimize your testosterone levels. All that stuff's just good for you anyway. So, yeah. By the way, study out of Harvard. Getting 5 hours of sleep lowers your testosterone by 15%. And for every hour less than that, it's an additional 15%. It comes down, at least in the temporary, which is a lot. So make sure you get your sleep, like we said. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. It's all we got for you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow, baby. Not sure where, not sure when, but we'll see you then. Have a great one. Thanks so much, and happy Wend Wellness. See you later.